Hello, everybody. In this video, I want to talk about introverts because I consider myself an introvert, and I've made a lot of videos, especially in my Operation Magician videos. I've made videos where I try to focus on how to be influential, how to basically be like more social, like persuasion techniques, right? I'm really into all of this. I feel like it helps me to be able to relate better to people, right? Like have richer and deeper interconnected relationships. Um, but unfortunately, I also feel, and I'm kind of at a crossroads right now where I'm kind of sensing that none of that has really worked, right? And this is because I feel like, in therapy, I've spoken about how I feel like I have two sides to me, right? Like there's this very formal, structured side when I'm like out in public or at work or dealing with work people or just people in general. And then there's this other side of me, which is like the creative side, right? The one that messes around with like music and making these kinds of videos. Like right now, I have no script, no bullet points to go on for this video. I'm just speaking from my mind and heart. But I can also say that it's not really so much that I have like a formal and an informal side. I feel like maybe I have a side of me that's very introverted. That's me. I'm introverted. I prefer to be alone or like with few close people, talking about like deep, meaningful things, right? I don't really like to waste time on trivial things, and that's not to say that trivial things are unnecessary. I know they have a certain like lubricative function within relationships to kind of like ease and smooth out and build rapport with other people. But it's really hard for me to do that. It's really hard for me to be uh, like social with strangers. I feel like, and especially in Mexico, I think like it's a country where people aren't really that open to just talking about any type of idea, unless they're like close friends. So for me, it's more like I have these two sides where one is like I was mentioning the introverted, my introverted world, right? And then when I have to go out, as soon as I step out the door, even with neighbors or at work or dealing with people like just in general in the street or in like shops or businesses or whatever, I don't know about you guys, but like I get really anxious, you know. I don't know how to be influential or be like that magician. I wish I could be like that, like very smooth, very charismatic. Um, but I feel like that's a world that I tend not to like, right? And lately I've been thinking about how maybe I just need to get away from this idea of saying, oh yeah, like I can totally be influential and persuasive and charismatic and seductive and get what I want when I want, whatever, with like anybody. Um, because there's that fake it till you make it idea, but the truth of the matter is that I'm nowhere near that. Every new interaction is spontaneous, it's completely unpredictable. Most of the time, people are in a bad mood. They just want to get you out the door, right? You want to go out the door too. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be asking people, like I used to do this at stores, like when I was a kid and younger, where I would go up to like the person working at the store and ask them like for a specific item right in the store, like, hey, where do you guys have the umbrellas, or where do you guys have like the ketchup or whatever, right? I no longer do that because just that interaction makes me anxious, right? It like, you walk up to someone, first of all, you catch them off guard, they're hostile, they're like, what do you want? And you're like, well, you're here to serve, aren't you? You're working at the store, you should be glad. I have all these conflicts, mental complexes of dealing with people like that. So this video is basically to say, if you're an introverted and you're trying to be extroverted or you're trying to be more social, but you're at that point where you're failing, um, I guess it's kind of like saying just give it up, right? Just give up. kind of like the turtle, like get into your shell, relate with the people that you know. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't experiment, like in new places, meeting new people. If you can, go ahead, try it out. It may be something that's worthwhile. But like I said, if you're at that point, excuse me, where you're just like, you know what, none of this is working for me. Like, I understand you. I understand that, because that's why I wanted to make this video. That's exactly at the point where I'm at. So it's like, for the introverts, how not to be social. Like, I just don't care. You need to deal with people, but you deal with them in an awkward way, right? You need to, I feel like, and I'm not saying that I'm right. I know I'm wrong. I know I should be more, and I should make a bigger effort, because I guess I just haven't really found the techniques, or I haven't been able to really implement them. I keep going back, or I keep going back to my old version, to the old way that I do things, where I'm just like, I guess, listening to what the person is saying, taking in the information, the instructions, or whatever I need to do. And if I have needs, I'll express those needs, right? And that's it. It's a very transactional exchange that I have typically with people that aren't like my friends, or that I'm not close to. Because for me, it's either that transactional conversation, like very rigid, or this deeper, meaningful conversation of like talking about our souls. And I know that's bad too. You can't get that deep with strangers, right? So in between those two extremes, there's that gray area where you're just kind of talking about, the day and how things are going. How are you? What's been going on? How's the weather? Like all that trivial type of talk. I guess I would have to work more on that. Like a question I've been seeing lately that I think is very useful is just asking, how are you? Right? How are you? If you're like very introverted, how are you? I think is a question that ultimately helps open up the conversation, right? And then you just kind of take it from there. I also have this idea, I think I've spoken about this before, where I think if you speak to someone for more than 5 minutes, you get into their unconscious. They start speaking unconsciously, right? Because they no longer have control of what they're saying. So now you have access. Like Freud used to say that you can only access people's unconscious, or I don't know if he said only, but a way to access people's unconscious was through dreams, through their dreams. But I think there are other ways, right? Like talking. Like if you talk to someone for longer than 5 minutes, you both are talking unconsciously, right? And I think, and I guess it's that control, right? At the beginning, that kind of makes us all anxious. But then if you're with someone that you really get along with, but again, that's for deeper conversations. So what I want to say to conclude this video is be glad you're introverted. Be proud of that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. We're different. We're just different in society. I think that's a good thing. The world needs different types of people. They need the extroverts to be all social and they like to be around people, and they also need the introverts to actually do things, because they don't waste time dealing with trivial matters with other people and talking nonsense. They actually get things done. They get to work. They're serious. They're committed. So be proud of that. Lean more into that. Exploit that. See what you can actually do with that, and kind of shy away from. I don't know if that's the right word, but shy away from this social nonsense if that's not really who you are. So let me know what you think about this video, because I'm kind of at that point where I'm just kind of saying, fuck it. I don't really care about being social. I'm just going to be myself. And yeah, so let me know what you think. And that's all I got for this one. So I'll see you in the next one. All right. Peace.